If you've ever bought men's clothes on Amazon, you already know that two things that look identical in the listing can show up feeling completely different. So instead of trying to figure out which Amazon clothing brand is supposedly the best overall, I wanted to do something that I think is a lot more useful. I have 5 Amazon menswear brands here, and the actual pieces I'm testing in this video are all under $60. I've got Amazon Essentials, Jmierr, Alimens Gentle, Runcati, and Coofandy, and what I really wanted to figure out is what each one is actually good at, because there are some pretty big differences once you get these clothes off the Amazon page and actually put them on. And by the end, I'll narrow everything down into the categories that I think matter most: the best everyday basics, the cheapest tier, the best option for matching sets or occasional wear, and where I'd look for a dressier shirt. The reason Amazon menswear can be a little bit of a minefield is that price doesn't always look and tell you very much. You can have 2 shirts sitting within a few dollars of each other, and one might have heavier fabric, another might fit completely different, and sometimes even something as simple as ordering a lighter color can change how much you can see through the material. So I'm looking at a few things. First is the fabric, not just what the label says, but how it actually feels and hangs when you're wearing it. Then fit. Where does the shoulder land? How much extra material is around the waist? How are the sleeves fitting? I'm also looking at construction, opacity on the lighter colors, and ultimately what situation I would actually wear each one in, because the $20 t-shirt doesn't need to do the same job as an outfit you're wearing to dinner or to a beach wedding. And Amazon Essentials is probably the clearest example of that. This is the brand I would consider the baseline of the whole comparison. When I think Amazon Essentials, I'm thinking everyday clothes, t-shirts, polos, undershirts, and simple button-down shirts. Most of the basics fall around that $18 to $30 range, and for that price, I think the appeal is pretty straightforward. These are the kind of clothes that you can throw in a regular rotation without feeling like every shirt has to be an outfit. The trade-off is that the fabric tends to be on the thinner side. That's something I'd especially pay attention to with the white, because lighter tops can become somewhat semi-transparent. The cut also tends to be boxier rather than really fitted through the body, but I don't necessarily see either of those things as deal breakers. For an undershirt, layering piece, casual polo, or an everyday t-shirt, the simpler cut can work just fine. Where I think Amazon Essentials starts reaching its limit is when you want the outfit itself to look more intentional or dressed up. Next is Jmierr, and this is the brand I'd look at when price is one of the biggest factors in the decision. This is less about trying to find out the absolute nicest garment in the group and more about saying how much style you can get without spending very much money. And that's useful because if you are trying a different look or building out several outfits without spending $40 or $50 on every single piece, and that's useful if you are trying a different look or building out several outfits without spending $40 or $50 on every single piece. With clothing in this tier though, I'm paying a lot more attention to the individual garment. I'm looking for the shoulder seams, how the collar sits, how much room there is through the body, and whether the fabric actually hangs naturally once it's on. Because that's the thing with inexpensive Amazon clothes. A great listing photo doesn't tell you how it's going to fit on your body. So I wouldn't buy Jmierr simply because it's inexpensive. I would buy it when I find a particular style I like, measurement makes sense, and I'm comfortable with the value I'm getting at that price. Then there's Alimens Gentle, and this is where I'd start looking if I wanted something inexpensive but a little more traditional and dressy. We're moving away from the basic t-shirt drawer here and more towards shirts that you might pair with chinos, dress pants, or even throw under a blazer. And inexpensive dress shirts are one of those categories that fit matters a lot more than people sometimes realize. You can have a perfectly acceptable fabric, but if the collar doesn't sit correctly, the sleeve is too long, or you've got a ton of extra fabric through the waist, the whole shirt can look wrong. So those are the things I would focus on here. Look under the collar when it's buttoned and unbuttoned. Look at how flat the front of the shirt sits. Check where the cuffs land, and look where it's tucked and untucked. If the fit works for your body, Alimens Gentle can make sense as a lower cost way to add some dressier shirts without spending a lot of money. Now Runcati is interesting because I actually have the t-shirt in 2 different colors, which gives me a useful way to look at something people don't always think about. Does the same shirt actually stay consistent when you change the color? So rather than just looking at one of these on a hanger, I'm putting both colors on side by side. I want to see whether the shoulder lands in the same place, whether the sleeves are the same length, whether the torso fits the same way, and whether one color shows the shape of the body or wrinkles more than the other. I'm actually looking at opacity because the darker or lighter fabrics can look very different once you actually put them on. And this is really where Runcati fits into the comparison for me. Basic tees. If you're primarily shopping for casual t-shirts, I think it makes sense to look at this alongside Amazon Essentials rather than assuming Amazon Essentials is automatically automatically your only basic option. Having both colors here also gives us a much better idea of what you are getting than judging the shirt from one Amazon listing photo. And then we get to Coofandy, because this is where the purpose of the clothing changes pretty dramatically. The matching set generally falls around $40 to $60 for a complete outfit, with individual pieces around $18 to $30. Their linen sets use a 55% linen and 45% cotton blend, while the cotton sets use 100% cotton. And this is where I'd actually show the fabrics rather than just talk about them. Put the lighter Coofandy material besides the lighter Amazon Essentials material and hold them both under the same light. Coofandy's material is visibly more substantial compared to the thinner Amazon Essentials fabric. For matching sets or occasional wear, Coofandy is the clear top pick. It's the only Amazon brand doing coordinated outfits at this quality. Matching set makes a lot more sense for something like a brunch, vacation, or a beach wedding, or even a casual Friday when you still want to look put together. If you are looking to go to a beach wedding or need a Friday office look, Coofandy is the Amazon pick, not Amazon Essentials. The sizing runs true to size, although if you're between sizes on the shirts, sizing down is probably a safer move. And the pants have an adjustable drawstring, so you've got some flexibility through the waist. The downside is color selection. A lot of the options lean neutral, so if you're looking specifically for bold prints or really vibrant colors, I'd look elsewhere. Now that I've gone through all 5 brands, I think the easiest way to wrap this up is to stop thinking about them as competitors and think about them as different parts of the same closet, because that's really what stood out to me after putting all of these together. So if I were starting from scratch and trying to build out a men's wardrobe on Amazon without spending a ton of money, I probably wouldn't pick one brand and stick with it. I would split the job up. For basic everyday wear, I'd start with Amazon Essentials. That's the stuff I'd reach for when I just need something simple, easy, and inexpensive. T-shirts, polos, undershirts, maybe some basic button downs. It's not necessarily the most interesting brand in the group, but I don't think basics need to be interesting. They just need to fit reasonably well and be easy to wear and not cost a fortune. If t-shirts were specifically what I was shopping for, though I'd also keep Runcati in the mix. Having the same shirt in 2 colors gave me a much better sense of what the style actually looks like. And I think this is a good example of why it's worth looking beyond just Amazon Essentials if you want something a little different but still casual. For me, Runcati makes the most sense as a basic tee option. Then you got Jmierr. That's the brand I would look for if price was my biggest concern and I wanted a little more variety. Maybe I'm trying to build out a few different looks without spending much on each piece. And that's where I think Jmierr fits. I would just be more careful with the specific item because at that price level, I think fit matters more than the brand name. Then Alimens Gentle is where I'd go if I needed something a little dressier. Maybe I already have enough t-shirts and casual stuff, but I need a shirt that I can wear with chinos, dress pants, or under a blazer. That's where the brand makes more sense. And then Coofandy is kind of in its own lane. That's the brand I'd pick when I want the outfit to already feel complete. You're not just buying a shirt, you're buying something that's already looks coordinated. And that's why it makes more sense for things like vacation, brunch, casual Friday, a beach wedding, or just any time you want to look more put together without having to think too hard about matching everything yourself. For matching sets or occasional wear, Coofandy is the clear top pick, and it's the only Amazon brand doing coordinated outfits at this quality. And I think this is also where the price makes more sense. If I'm buying basic t-shirts, I'm probably trying to stay pretty inexpensive. But if I'm buying a full matching outfit, I'm willing to spend a little more because I'm getting the shirt and pants together, and I already know they are supposed to work as a set. So if you're looking at this from a value standpoint, I don't think you can just compare the price tags directly. A $20 t-shirt and the $50 or $60 matching sets are solving completely different problems. And that's really the biggest takeaway from this whole comparison. Amazon Essentials is your basic drawer, Coofandy is your going out drawer, and they're not competing, they are for different closets. That's honestly the cleanest way I can put it. If your closet is missing basics, Amazon Essentials is probably the safest place to start. If you want basic tees but you want to look beyond the obvious Amazon option, take a look at Runcati. If budget is the priority, Jmierr gives you a lot to browse through. If you need more traditional dress shirts, Alimens Gentle makes more sense. If you need a complete outfit for an event or somewhere you actually want to look intentional, Coofandy is the one I'd be looking at. If you're going to a beach wedding or need a Friday office look, Coofandy is the Amazon pick, not Amazon Essentials. And I also think it's worth saying this because people tend to overcomplicate Amazon clothing. You don't have to find a perfect brand. You just need to find a brand that does the specific thing you're shopping for well. That's a much easier decision. So I wouldn't call any one of these the best Amazon menswear brand overall. I think that would be oversimplifying it, but I do think each one has a pretty clear reason to exist. And once you know what that reason is, it gets a lot easier to figure out which one actually belongs in your closet. If this helped you narrow down which Amazon menswear brand makes sense for you, check out the link below. And if you like these kind of real world comparisons, make sure you subscribe because we've got a lot more Amazon clothing and product reviews coming. With all that being said, I hope this video was helpful.